Now, we're going to do the walkthrough of the Darkness of Light tarot. Are you going to help me, Maya? No. Hi everyone, Brian here, and back with my second video of the day, and in this video I'm going to do a walkthrough of the Darkness of Light tarot, which I have been sent a copy of by my friend Erika from Raw Spirit Tarot, who asked me if I'd be interested in having the deck because she had a couple of copies that she'd been given in order to do a walkthrough, and she gave one to Becca, Tarot Night Owl. I'll link Becca's walkthrough below as well as Erika's channel details. And I'm really delighted to have been given this deck actually, because it's one that I was aware of, but I will confess I hadn't particularly had it on my radar as something that I might get. I had seen a couple of images of the cards and thought that does look quite interesting, but it's just one of those things that just because of other things, I guess, hadn't particularly captured my attention. But now that I've got the deck, I'm absolutely delighted to have it. It's a beautiful deck and very interesting. So I thought the thing to do would really be to give you a bit of background so you're aware of where the deck has come from and what it's about, and then you can see as we walk through what it's like. It's very Rider Waite in its imagery, and this is from the website for the Darkness of Light Tarot, which is darknesstarot.com. I'll link below this page as well, and this is on the About section. So it says, the Darkness of Light Tarot is a fully illustrated tarot card deck developed by artist and designer Tony DeMauro, D-I, capital D, small I, capital M-A-U-R-O, Tony DeMauro. I hope I'm saying it right. It consists of 78 unique cards designed for historical significance, divination and collectability. And the concept, the Darkness of Light Tarot is a treatise on the balance found in all things in the universe. The darkest paths we walk, there can still be found light, and in the lightest hearts there is still found darkness. This is to be human and to be part of the great design of all things. The deck strives to paint an honest portrait of nature. It doesn't shy away from dark themes, but instead embraces them, weaving both darkness and light together to tell the story of the Fool's journey. The Darkness of Light Tarot aligns with the Wheel of the Year, with each suit corresponding to a season, with the goal of creating a sense of time that flows throughout the deck. Now the deck arrives in this, I've taken it out of the tuck box, that's why I'm trying to close the tuck box so you can see what it looks like. This is the image on the side. That's also the image on the back of the card. I'll come back to that. Darkness of Light Tarot. Some details of the copyright information on the side. Standard tuck box. The backs of the cards again are this rather interesting image of two wolf heads. And it comes with a couple of information cards as well. So the guidebook is also available. It goes into great detail on the major arcana, lists background information about the artist, secrets found within the deck, reading tips for the minor arcana, a full index, seasonal correlations, alternative card games and much more. I think it's a 76-page guidebook which you can buy separately from the deck, and the artist is Tony DeMauro. That's him there. All of these details are obviously on the page that I've linked below. So this is really, apart from a very quick flip through, which was a very favourable one, as I said, it made me think, wow, this is actually a very nice deck. I haven't gone into this in any great detail, so this is really going to be a first impressions almost in terms of going through the cards and as I show them to you. So we'll just start with the major arcana and we'll work our way through. So first of all, the Magician, Il Mago. Hi, it's me, Brian. This is Brian from the future, having done the walkthrough of the Darkness of Light Tarot and realised, because I found it on my desk, that I hadn't shown you the Fool card, which is here. So I'm showing it to you now so that you don't get to the end of the walkthrough and think, where was the Fool? The Fool is here. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to let you go back to the Brian of about 45 minutes ago as he goes through the walkthrough of the Darkness of Light Tarot. Now, one of the things I want to say to you straight off the bat is that those of you who follow my channel will know this already. I am generally not a fan of decks where the people in the decks look as though they have been, you know, painted from posed pictures or from photocomposite pictures. I don't mind photo collage decks if it's of abstract things, but generally if it's real people who are there, if it looks to me as though the characters in the deck are real people or have been drawn from real people, generally it puts me off. Now, I don't know, because I haven't seen anything that tells me that the cards here have had real people pose for them, but I think it's possible. However, my first impression is that the artist has done a fantastic job of giving these cards their own character and their own life. So I don't kind of look at this card and think, oh, that's probably somebody somebody that the artist knows pretending to be the magician. You know, I don't get that sense at all. So there's something very authentic about the imagery, and I love that this particular card, the magician, seems to be riding the waves, seems to be riding the ocean. That's what it looks like to me, with a rock on the ocean, and of course on the rock acts as his table, and that's where his implements are, the four implements, the four suits of tarot. High Priestess. Very you can see the interplay of dark and light very clearly in this card. And it's interesting seeing the High Priestess sitting in front of what is really a fairly conventional looking door, rather than through you know, with the pillars and the veil and everything. Empress. The other thing I notice is that although these cards are on the face of it black and white, there are of course actually subtle shades of colour in there. You can see in this card that there's a kind of a blueness to the Empress's dress. There's a kind of slight pinkish tinge in the sky. So it's not just straightforward black and white imagery. There's the Emperor. Hierophant. The Lovers. I love in this card the fact that the Lovers has got the angel's face is kind of lit up. Talk about light. I'm just going to see, by the way, how it works if I put this brighter light on and reflect it off the curtains, if that gives you a better, that might be a bit better actually. I want to make sure that you're seeing as much as possible of the colours in these cards. So very, very beautiful artwork, very powerful image. So that's the Lovers. A Chariot. Chariot, of course, is one of my favourite cards. It is my birth card, and I suspect who we're seeing here is Diana, goddess of the hunt. Although I haven't got the guidebook to confirm that, but I love that image. Very unusual. Unusual to see. This isn't obviously a chariot in the traditional sense. There's no chariot there, so the horse is the chariot. And the duality of two directions, I think, is, as you might see in the two sphinxes in the Rider-Waite, is being indicated by the two moons, the waxing and waning moons. Strength. Again, some more of that pinky, bluish colour in the sky and in that little pool of water. So the very subtle use of colour is very striking, because it's not garish colour at all, but it really stands out when you notice it. You really notice it. Hermit. This reminds me a bit of the Hermit in the Gill Tarot, because in the Gill Tarot's Hermit, it's very different in terms of the way that it looks, but in the Gill Tarot's Hermit, which I might have nearby, the Hermit is looking away, so we're behind the Hermit, looking from behind the Hermit, as we are in this card. I love this, the Wheel of Fortune. That just reminds me of fairy tales that I knew as a kid, you know, Sleeping Beauty, the spinning wheel. Very, very nice. Justice. Hanged Man. Very powerful death card. Because again, it's kind of almost hyper real image of death. To make sure that we're not missing out on focus. Sorry, I'm wiggling the camera like mad here. Very powerful death image. Lots of motion in this card. You can really get the sense that death is riding up. And again, hints of colour. Temperance. The Devil. Tower. And this next sequence of cards, I love the face or faces that have been used. So first of all we have the Star. The Moon, and I love that here we've got this two-headed dog, kind of indicating that pull between the primal wild nature and domesticated nature as indicated in the Moon card, usually using a wolf and a dog. Very much like a two-headed wolf actually, so much more here about instinct. And here in the Sun is where we get the dog. So that's rather lovely. A nice connection between those luminary cards. And then Justice. The Universe, or the world. So those are the major arcana. So now we're going into the blades, and what I noticed as I went through this, first of all, or what I noticed in myself, is that the blades, the swords, the cards here remind me very much of Game of Thrones, and maybe you'll see why. There's just something in them. Partly the colour reminds me of the Night's Watch in Game of Thrones. Ace of Blades. 2. 3. Nice to see a 3 of Swords that isn't just a pierced heart, but something there about sorrow being indicated in the snow and a barren tree. 4 of Blades. 5. 6. 7. 8. Those familiar with Rider-Waite will see many of the motifs are there, and in this card again this indication that if the character was to just turn around, she'd be able to walk out of these swords without any problems. And we have the 9. And the 10. Under no illusions what that card means. And we have the Page. The Knight. The Queen. And the King. Looks almost like he's sitting on the Iron Throne, or some kind of throne. Looking rather weary, very serious. So those are the blades. Very clearly a wintry feel to the blades. We have then the wands, which I guess is probably going to be spring, I would think, in terms of what it's indicating in this terms of the seasons. Two of wands. And you can see the pink is really dominating here. It gives a lovely, fresh, spring-like sense to the cards. Eight of wands. Again, although you know, the contrast is the main thing in the deck, the contrast between dark and light, the colour really draws you in. Very naturalistic images. And the wands here, of course, are all like branches of trees with leaves and buds on them. Page of Wands, Knight of Wands. One of my favourite cards in any deck, of course, is the Queen of Wands, not least because of the lovely little black cat. Speaking of which, Maya is lurking in here somewhere. She might put in an appearance later. King of Wands. Those are wands, that's spring. Going on now to, again, I'm imagining, because of the images that we're seeing and the colours, that the cups relate to summer. Ace of Cups. Two of Cups. Three. Four. Again, a wonderful burst of light in this card. Seven of Cups. One of the key words or key phrases I've often heard, or occasionally heard used in relation to the Seven of Cups is castles in the sky, and that's very much indicated here. Eight of Cups. 9, 10, page, with a little fish, of course, in the cup, knight, queen. A clear indication of pregnancy here. Which is interesting to see indicated in the Queen of Cups rather than specifically in the Empress, where it would normally be. And the King of Cups. And as you'd expect, the coins have a very autumnal feel. And actually, when I looked through these first, what these reminded me of is not because they look the same, but there's something of the colour scheme that reminds me of the Pagan Otherworld tarot. Ace of Coins, 2, rather severe looking 3 of coins. We want to meet them in a dark alley. 4, and a really lovely 5 of coins, 5 of Pentacles, of course. A wintry night and the dog finding shelter. Nice to see in this representation that the building is open, welcoming. 6 of coins. 7 of coins. 8. Very restful, muted colours here. And this one is gorgeous. Talk about homely. Beautiful. And the page. And the knight. Queen. And the king with his pumpkins. Something almost Tolkien-esque and hobbity about this king. So that is the Darkness of Light Tarot, and I think my my impressions of this are very favourable. It looks to me as though it would be very readable. Obviously the Rider-Waite influences are there, but it is its own thing, so it's not just reliant on Rider-Waite. And I love the use of colour. I love the use of contrast of dark and light in the deck, and also the hints of colour that come through that highlight just certain elements of the card, and also give us those seasonal associations. So what do you think, Maya? What do the cards say? What do you think, Maya? I think she likes it. Yeah, a definite hit with Maya.